Alright, good morning, afternoon, and or evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, back at it again. Didn't expect to see me so soon, all 4 or 5 subscribers that I have. But today, no face cam, because, it died. So I am just going to completely pinch the style of a funky diabetic, shout out him, for this video, where I ramble about trades that will never happen with my favorite NBA team, tragically, the Portland Trail Blazers. I know, I am Blazers fan, you may have heard about. So, over the last year of watching the team, because let's be real, they're going to be in win now mode until Dame is gone. That's just how it's going to be. Shout out to Dame, by the way. He's pretty good at his whole job, which is playing basketball. But that's neither. No, I am not going to say that's neither here nor there. I am going to stop doing that, and I declare it right now. But the thing that I have really noticed, 3 things, that is, are fairly troubling. 1, wing defense. 2, point guard depth. That's not Dame, because let's be real. I love Dame, but the problem is he is kind of what he is. He's a pretty good passer. He's a fantastic shooter. He's great at getting to the rim. He's not a good defender. That's just how it is. But yeah, wing defense and point guard depth are the 2 biggest things that I have noticed so far. And here's where the problem, I think, occurs. I feel like the Blazers need to get their hands on someone who can fill in, if not both those roles, one of those roles incredibly well. Now, a backup guard is not a big ask to get, to be honest. You don't have to give up a ton of assets. They have the 16th pick this year. Don't know about their pick next year. They have Anthony Simmons, who I believe he can be a good player, but not really with the Blazers, to be honest, because he is a guy that needs the ball in his hand and is not a good defender. And if you're playing alongside Dame and CJ, you're not getting the ball in your hand. That's just what it is. You know, he's not very efficient either. They tried to turn him into a spot-up shooter, and that failed miserably. And to fill that role that they wanted him to be shoehorned into, they got Gary Trent Jr. He played great defense, and he shot a lot of threes. And that kind of makes Simon's a bit expendable. I'm not saying I'm rooting against the guy. He's done nothing wrong to me. He seems like a good enough dude. But I feel like his success in the NBA won't come in Rip City. That's just it. Then, of course, there's also the interesting scenario of free agents, and more specifically, signing and trading free agents. You know, you got Hassan Whiteside, who I I'm not the biggest Whiteside fan, to be honest. You know, contract year Whiteside is a thing, and the fact that Nurkic is coming back kind of makes him expendable-ish. But yeah, and Carmelo Anthony is also a free agent. Now, Melo was an interesting piece, to say the least. He was a pretty good scorer, was a good wing player, which, you know, need those like crack. And the problem is, it's Carmelo frickin' Anthony. There's not much defense involved. And the thing with Carmelo is that he proved last year that he can still be a very good NBA player in a bit of a lesser role. But that's the problem. Will Carmelo accept a bit of a lesser role for whatever team he's going to be on next? Because I assume he's going to get somewhere. You know, if I'm being honest, I don't think the Blazers should fully re-sign him. I think he is one of the prime candidates for a sign-and trade to a team that needs shooting and is also in win-now mode, essentially. And here is where I come into the main point of a trade that will never ever happen, but can solve a ton of problems for both teams. And here's the uncomfortable truth I feel a lot of Blazers fans don't really get, and I didn't get for the longest time until I had a long sit down with myself. And this pains me to say because I love him as a player, but if you want to get a really, really good guy that fills multiple roles and needs on the team, they're going to require a lot of assets. One of the biggest assets that you can get is CJ McCollum. I know, for some, trading CJ is damn near heresy, and you should be burned at the stake for the thought. But CJ is the biggest trade piece you can get that's not named Dame. I mean, and the thing is, Nurkic could also go too, but I feel like an offensive multi-tool of a guard will be more impactful for this trade that I worked out than another center. And of course, if you haven't guessed by now, this trade would be with the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons. Send over CJ, Anthony Simons, and Carmelo Anthony, and you get back Ben Simmons. Now, here's the issue with that. One, Daryl Morey, new president of basketball operations for the 76ers, Ben Simmons is kind of his type of guy. Morey is very analytics focused, very, very cutting edge modern basketball focused, and good shooters on this team. There are very good shooters on this team. Of course, there's Dame. In this trade, CJ and Carmelo would be gone, but Rodney Hood is pretty good. Same with Trevor Ariza. But at the same time, this is also kind of a move for the future, if you will. And Trevor Ariza is 34, and Rodney Hood is 28 and coming off of a major surgery. That could be a huge question mark going forward. Of course, just finding shooters in the modern NBA, that's not really the problem, but at the same time, that would also require giving up more assets on a team that is in the weird situation of being in both win now mode and probably not being good enough to compete for a championship seriously, you know? And if you give up future assets, a ton of future assets, and you don't win, then you're in a Clippers type situation where you're just kind of screwed for a while because you got nothing that you can offer for a team for a young player, or nothing in the draft that you can get a young player. When I started watching the NBA, really influenced my decisions into a team with one incredibly good player that always disappoints in the playoffs. So yeah, that's about it for me. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and that's about it. Deuces. But it's just, yeah. Oh boy, I just had a weird thought. Imagine a few years ago with Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Amino on the team saying that wing defense would be a question mark in the near future. But yeah, another thing I also thought of when it came to trades, I have thought about this one way less, but I don't know how they would swing it either. But somehow, trading up to around a low-ish lottery pick to get a guy like Isaac Okoro because, spare wing defenders, anyone.